Hello. Well, today we are going to be tackling something that was requested of me, and that is how do you create a CSS dropdown menu purely out of CSS? No jQuery, nothing else. So it's relatively simple, relatively straightforward. You can make it responsive. Obviously, the benefits of a pure CSS dropdown would be load time, efficiency, not having to create a bunch of functions in jQuery, things like that. So we're just pretty much going to tackle this roughly. We're not going to do a ton of styling. It's not going to look beautiful. I'm really just going to break down how you would get it to engage, how you would get that action of being able to get the dropdown to actually drop down, and so on and so forth. So we're going to do that with a CSS pseudo class, which is going to be a hover pseudo class. And let's go ahead and get started. So first, I'm going to tackle it by doing I like to use the HTML5 navigation tag. And I think in the future, this will help people with their search engine optimization because it's descriptive of what it is. So this might help search engines in the future if you're doing search marketing. My guess is that this is going to be beneficial. So at any rate, I'm doing a navigation tag. And I'm doing an unordered list. That's what UL stands for. And then inside every type of list, whether it's unordered or ordered, you're going to do a list item. And so inside your list item, to make it clickable, we're going to create an anchor tag. So this is what makes something clickable. Every time you're on an app or if it's an HTML5 app, or a website, you're always going to be looking at an anchor tag. If any sort of navigation uses an anchor tag. So at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and start typing a few things out. I'll just do this for the sake of an example. So we'll just pretend that these go to other pages. All right. So let's go ahead and get this styled. I'm pretty sure that this CSS style sheet is already linked up. Let's go ahead and check. So I'm going to target the navigation. So we're going to write out our selector. That's our selector. And I'm going to tell it to float left. I am going to give it a width of 100% and a height of 102 pixels. And I'm going to give it a background of yellow. Let's see if it appears. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to that page. So you do Command Open, and I'm going to open the HTML file. You're not going to be opening the CSS, just the HTML. All right, so you see here there are a few issues with styling. You have your bullets, it's blue, and it's underlined. So what I like to do is to sort of reset some of these things is I do something that's called the wildcard selector. And the way you do that is just like you would select nav right here, you would just simply do an asterisk, which basically selects everything. It means everything. So it's also referred to as a wildcard. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of those bullets first. So the way we do that is list style none. All right, let's go ahead, save, refresh. Those are gone. Okay, I don't like those underlines. We're going to get rid of that. Text decoration, none. Bam, they're gone. Okay, awesome. So those are just default styling that the browser forces on those types of tags, and they're really not useful to us. At least not at this point. So I'm going to get really specific with my selecting. I'm going to say, because we're going to be nesting unordered lists with inside of each other, we need to be really specific. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say nav, and then directly after nav, that's what that symbol is right there. That just means directly after. So it doesn't mean any unordered list after UL, which basically would be this. And it would style everything that way. I don't want that. I just want that particular thing to be styled like that. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say float right. We're going to say width, 50%, height, 102 pixels, background, pink. See what that does. There we go. Okay, obviously there's some issues. There's some padding and margin. Another thing I do that to reset what the browser does is I take off padding. It automatically adds padding, and it automatically adds margin to your style sheet. So, I just put that right there. It obviously removed it. We're good to go. Okay, so we have that. We still have an issue, though. We have the issue of the fact that these list items are what you would consider a block level element. They're not inline. Inline would mean that they would be flush against each other in line. Literally visualize what the word inline means, and that's exactly what it means. These are block, so that means that they do not share horizontal space with other elements. They clear to the next line. They're always going to break down to the next line. So we don't want that. That's not typically how navigations look or work. Maybe they do on some sites, but in this instance, it's not. So the way we're going to tackle that is we're going to tell that list item to float left. Oh, there we go. And you can tackle that a few different ways. You can tell it to display inline. I really like to tell it to float left. There's a few reasons why, but it's going to have to float left if it's mobile anyway, because you're going to be doing 100% width in your mobile nav. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to give this a width of 100 pixels. All right, and we're going to give it an outline because I just kind of want to see what's going on. So we'll say green solid 1 pixels. All right, go back, refresh. There we go. All right, it's got that width. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a margin too. I'm going to say margin right 10 pixels. There we go. Okay, so we got some space. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and tackle the way that those nav buttons are colored. By default, anchor tags are blue, and we don't need that. We're gonna change the fonts, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna say a light gray. Actually, we'll do a dark gray, and then we will do we'll change the font family. I'll say Helvetica, sans serif. All right, there we go. Okay, so you do Helvetica. What this is called the fallback, and it just means if somebody on their computer does not have Helvetica enabled, that it will choose the next plausible sans serif font. Sans serif meaning that it doesn't have serifs on the font. It is without serif. Okay, so we got that. That's cool. Let's go ahead and bump this down. This way up here on top. We're going to go ahead and bump this down real quick. So we'll say, oh, we don't want that, do we? All right, I'm going to try something else real quick. So I just brought the line height to 102 pixels. It just makes it to where it's in line or whatever. So at any rate, in order to make this all clickable though, we really want to add some padding. So we're going to do that directly on the anchor tag. So we're going to say padding. We're going to go ahead and say top and bottom will be 0. Actually, we'll say top and bottom will be 50. We'll just say 50 pixels all around. Let's see how that works. And we'll say on this list item, we'll say width is auto. Oh, shoot. Width is auto. Okay, so it's starting to take on that width. So really, I'm just kind of playing with space. But right now, I'm going to have to go back up to that unordered list and just throw a bigger percentage of it on there so that we have something good to play with. So this is not for styling. I'm just kind of doing this to make it look remotely legible. All right, so we need to go back to our HTML file. We need to go in here. We need to go inside of our list item. And this is where we're going to nest our drop-down menu. All right, so I'm just going to snag a few of these list items directly from the previous ones, and I'm going to tab this in just so that it looks nested. All right, cool. So I'm going to say sub 1, sub 2, sub 3. So sub 2, sub 3. All right, cool. All right, so we got that. So here is the issue. The selector is not specific enough. So what we're going to do is make this really specific. There we go. There we go. Okay, great. So we got everything there. So obviously the way that a drop-down menu would work is that it would not appear by default, right? So we need to go ahead and tackle that real quick. So we're going to do that right now. We need to go ahead and say that this is display none. Right? Okay, so it's gone. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy that again, and we're going to do the pseudo class. This is the magic that makes all this happen. So we're going to say hover. Hover is the pseudo class we're working with. And we're going to say display block. So block is the opposite of none, essentially. So there we go. So you see how quick this is. We're just a few minutes into the video. There you go. You've got your sub navigation. All right. So, you might be asking yourself, how can we kind of add a little bit of effect to this so it's not so abrupt? Well, let me show you real quick. We can do something with the new CSS3 animation properties, specifically transition. So transition will require something that it can actually animate. So it cannot animate display none. It, however, can animate opacity. So we're going to say opacity 0 and refresh, go to it, and you see that doesn't do anything, right? It just takes away the contents inside. So let's go. Oh, shoot. In fact, I am not certain why this is actually... Okay. Well, the issue with this is that there's a outline on it, and it's going to show that there is that there's something contained inside of it. So that's another way you can do it. So we'll go ahead and take that off, just so that this works for effect. All right, so we're going to do opacity 1. So the default, so instead of 100%, it is 1. That's what you want to go for. So there you go. There you go. Gotcha. All right, so how do you animate this? So what you do is you go back to the actual styling for that nested unordered list. We're going to do transition, opacity, 1 second. So it's 1s. So you have to, for this animation property, you have to specify what you're transitioning. So for this, it's opacity. That's one of the properties you can pass to that animation. But the thing with this is, since it's not highly adopted the same way, at least across browsers, you have to do a prefix for each type of browser, each browser. So WebKit would cover Chrome, it would cover Safari. This just covers some of the newer ones that have sort of ditched some of that. I haven't looked at it in a while, but when I do my testing, it works across the board. So sort of become default. But we're going to do this for Mozilla Firefox. Then we're going to do one for Opera. There's some people that still do them for Microsoft, which It's kind of a little blurry to me. I don't understand how it was sort of just a different time. But okay, so you can see that it fades in, it fades out. So it's really nice. Let's go ahead and put some styling on that UL real quick. I'm going to come here and just say background. I'll do the color picker. I'm trying to find something that won't clash too bad. Okay, cool. There we go. There we go. So you can see it fades in, fades out. It's real nice. And, you know, if you can get your head wrapped around mobile development, this is a really easy prospect. It's not that big of a deal. So I hope this helps. This was a request by a dear friend of mine, Shepard, and he wanted me to tackle this. Thank you for asking. If you guys have any special requests for videos, I'd love to help you. Leave comments, share, like. If you have questions, throw them in the comments, and I'll see if I can answer them. Or you guys can hit me up on Google+, which is a pretty good setup for community and another good way to interact. So hope you like this, and until next time, bye.